In this presentation, we are going to be discussing the positives and the benefits of animal testing. My name is Sneha.
My name's Quentin.
My name's Naomi.
And my name is Megan.
The positive history on animal testing is very dense, so we're going to be discussing the regulations of animal testing. There is the Animal Welfare Act, and this requires each research facility to have a committee that is comprised of at least 3 people, and one of them has to be a veterinarian. This is in a way beneficial because if anything happens or anything that they need to get cleared, there's a doctor on site that helps them out with that and is able to clear them for different things that can be done to the animals. The Animal Welfare Act simply regulates the transportation and the housing of the animals, though, not the experiment. So this means that they regulate only the transportation and where the animals are going to be housed, how they're being taken care of. But as for the experiment being done on them, they don't quite have any jurisdiction or control over that. The Animal Welfare Act passed animal testing in 1966. So it's been quite a while since animal testing has been around and it's been prominent in our society. The Animal Welfare Act defines animals as any live or dead dog, cat, monkey that is non-humane primate mammal, a guinea pig, a hamster, a rabbit, or such other warm-blooded animal. So that means that these are the only type of animals that should be tested on, currently according to the Animal Welfare Act.
This slide is about the ethical aspects of the pros against animal testing. Since 1966, the Animal Welfare Act has been protecting and regulating the experimentation on animals. Enforcements animal testers must follow include veterinarians must check the health and welfare of the animals periodically to make sure that they're getting treated right. Animals should be given proper shelter, which include temperature-controlled rooms, access to fresh, clean water, and food. Animal testing sites must have an animal care committee that will approve what tests and what animals are allowed to use for animal testing. Animals that are excluded from being tested on include birds, rats, and cold-blooded animals and farm animals. So basically, they must be able to form a committee to be able to say which test and what animals are allowed to be tested on, just to make sure that all ethicals are being followed when doing animal testing. For the cultural importances, most of the developed countries have guidelines in which these animal requirements or information on the care and use of agriculture animals are given. Each religion emphasizes 2 concepts with regard to human-animal relationships: non-injury to living beings and a repeated cycle embodiment of all living beings. According to the Jewish and early Christian views, animals have no souls to be respected, but it was known that the animals that were trapped, they were to be rescued, given treatment if hurt, and adequate amount of food and water provided if they shall be hungry and thirsty. So basically, they didn't think that animals have souls, but they do believe that they should still be treated correctly and ethically. So it kind of goes back to the ethical aspects as well. The sociological importance basically follows animal testing is used to benefit our society. It also, when experimenting with new vaccines and drugs, there is no other alternative since animals are the only other thing close to animals. Socially, animals testing is not considered acceptable thanks to the Animal Welfare Act. Animal testing helps discover the causes, diagnosis, and treatments of disease, suffering in animals and humans. Additionally, some viruses mutate over time and therefore may change their characteristics. To improve the knowledge regarding these viruses, there is a need to those viruses on animals being the closest to humans. This is the only chance to get prepared in case of pandemics to a certain extent.
Here are some current events that are happening now. With Animal Welfare Act that has been placed since 1966, as previously stated by Megan. It's a law that regulates the treatment for all animals used for research, testing, and many others. We also have the Department of Health and Human Services that oversees any facility that does any type of animal testing. So that means the FDA and National Institute of Drugs also watch over these testing facilities. Another one is the American Veterinary Medical Association that argues animal testing has been proven to save endangered species, create safe vaccines and drugs, as well as some medical devices. So the AVMA has been known for their arguments towards animal testing because they practice animal testing safely, and they do have some rules in place about testing animals, as well as some tools that they use while doing so.
So here are some pros about for animal testing. No human has to risk their lives. There's a little error on my slide, but no human has to risk their life for an experiment. It's because it's animal testing is not done on humans, it's done on animals. It saves lives around the world for obvious reasons, because you find new medicines for viruses and diseases that kill humans, and that these medicines help build up your immune system. Some animals and humans are too far off biologically, so that means that thinking that if you were to use a medicine on an animal, it would be have the similar effects on a human. But that's not always the case, really, because sometimes it'll be a little different, biological reasons. Animals can contract the same viruses as humans as well. Usually most viruses come from animals, such as COVID-19 it's known to have come from a bat, or Ebola also came from a bat. So even if the experiment were to fail, we gain information from that, saying that okay, so if an animal weren't acting right after the experiment, if it wasn't doing that well, then that means that particular medicine won't work, certain chemicals in that medicine. So we gain information from that, we learn from our mistakes.
To summarize all the information we have gone over in this presentation, we can conclude that animals are biologically made up similar to humans, which makes animals the only way to test new vaccines or drugs. Animals can develop the same diseases or viruses as us humans, which helps researchers determine if a medicine or vaccination would work on humans. When it comes to animal testing, there are some strict guidelines they must follow, which include a regular checkup by a veterinarian, proper housing that include food and water at all times, as well as a committee that will be the deciding factor and advocates for these animals. Additionally, the life expectancy of humans have increased greatly over the past years. Earlier, it was common to see people dying in their 40s, but now the life expectancy is over 85 years. It is estimated that in the coming years, newborns' life expectancies will be above 100 years. This has all been made possible by the increasing wealth levels and rapid medical progress due to advanced and extensive research done on animals.
So this concludes our presentation. Here is our reference slides